thank you for really providing this opportunity for an interview. And you must be deluged with people wanting to do this, because how many people get a chance to talk about themselves for an hour?
Yeah,
I mean,
or who will listen.
Or who will, that's the point, who will listen. And I mean, you think about our beauticians and our counselors, but beauticians, I mean, they hear life stories and people love to just sit there and chat. And they know the better the story and the more they can elicit from their person, they get a better tip.
That's right.
Isn't
as well.
that true? Isn't
Yeah.
that true?
And
The connection.
I befriend owners of hair salons because I know the gab goes on.
Yes.
Get on their good side.
Yes, right. And I thought to myself, you asked me to do this, but first thing I wanted to ask you is, have you ever been interviewed on your show?
One person reversed the roles. One person. We were started in it, and I turned it into 2 videos because one was all about me yapping away about me, myself, and then the second half was about her.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
Over a year and a half ago.
Okay.
One of the first ones.
So there's a lot of people that have moved to the area that have not heard that, and I would love to come back again and do that for you.
Sure,
Because you're
anytime.
doing that for me, and it should be a reciprocal, it should be a connection.
Well, I appreciate it.
And, you know, this way it's just one-sided. And recently I had a really good friend who had been with me during the last few campaigns, just such a good friend, and she moved out of the country just recently. So I wanted to give her something, so I did a life history of her.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I got the questions from the Smithsonian Institute, and I've done qualitative interviewing before in my research. And so I set up the program on Microsoft, I recorded her, and then I did a transcript of it, and then I synthesized it with AI.
Wow.
And then I gave her and her family a copy of the tape recording, the interview transcript, and the synthesis. And then the synthesis I read at her going away party.
Oh my
And
God.
she was so
Tears.
touched, and it was 2 hours of a life history, and it was so
Wow.
beautiful and thankful. And I thought this would be something for every person to do. But
Yeah.
that's it. That's what we
Yeah,
have to do.
my mom passed away, and I went through every photo I have of her and put it all into a video and music and everything. And just recently, my father-in-law passed away,
Oh.
and we did the same thing. We put every picture we could find, just put it in one long video, and just, you know, it shows for 2 or 3 seconds, and then it goes on to another. So it's just a dedication, whatever you call
And
it.
those kinds of tributes are real honors.
Yeah.
But a couple days ago, on Monday, Lakeland Now provided a really wonderful article. And it was on the front page about my candidacy.
They did.
And
They did me good too.
Yeah, and they did. Anna.
Was it Sarah?
Anna Halls.
Oh, Anna Hans. I'm sorry, I got it backwards.
What a fabulous journalist. She has a PhD. We talked for a long time, and she took that and synthesized it so nicely. I can't say enough about her as a journalist.
Yeah, I got to meet her, and we did our interview right next door.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, she's been around in Missouri. She's
Okay.
from Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she discussed and laid out my platform areas of issues, and you know.
Feel free to tell me if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Well, the first one, of course, is enhancing community engagement. The second one is balancing economic development with community well-being. And the third is supporting the infrastructure, expediting it for our first responders. So those are my 3 areas, but I'd like to talk a little bit about today about how I led up to my lifelong movement to get to this point in time now. And why I'm entering the race now is because I don't think that there's been enough direction supporting those areas that are really important, our vulnerable people, so that I feel they're getting left behind. And had I not seen that the leadership was not attending to that, I would have not probably entered the race, because if they were doing a good job, why do
Yeah,
I need to?
that's right.
Okay, so yes, so I have been always interested in older adults. I mean, I start back from high school when I worked
Where are
in
you originally from?
Michigan.
Oh, I wish I hadn't asked. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Why?
I'm a Buckeye. I'm just kidding.
Michigan, and I grew up and I had a wonderful family, you know, a wonderful childhood, and very supportive parents. I was the middle child, so they got involved with the older one and the younger one, so I just got to skate through and do my thing. So it was
That's
quite
pretty cool,
nice,
yeah.
but they were very
I never thought about that position. I'm the oldest and I got everything.
They were supportive. So I learned to become very independent, to do what I want, and I always seemed to know what I wanted to do, and so that's probably why they left me alone, because I always made good choices and knew what I wanted. And in high school, I worked in a nursing home as a nurse's aide. And,
Wow.
and I did that for several years, and I remember thinking to myself, someday I'm going to change this for the older adults. They need something better. They need better service, you know, and I was, you know, at the time 16 and 17. So I committed to follow a nursing career, not because it was the right thing for a woman to do, you know, nursing or teaching, but because I really felt a calling to be a change agent for older
When you
adults.
see things aren't to a certain par, you want to make them better.
I want to make, that's the person I am. I feel I'm here to improve the quality of life for people. It's not about me, it's about other
That's a
people.
great starting place.
It's about other people. So I went through got my bachelor's degree in nursing, met my husband at college. He was in the military during the Vietnam War, so I followed him to California, and then we lived in Australia for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And I worked for the Navy Exchange there on the outbush out on the west coast of Australia. And so then came back and finished the nursing degree and went on for a master's degree, and then became a nurse practitioner and worked for, in hospital.
Where did you come back to? Did you come back to Michigan from
Yes.
there? Okay.
Yes, I never had moved from Michigan
Okay.
at that point, so yes. And so during the master's degree after that, I worked at public health, home health, those kinds of things, and a lot with older adults. And then I think what happened was I just decided to go back into primary care practice as a nurse practitioner, and got a position after hospital administration experiences. I served on operations board for a 250-bed hospital. I was the executive director of nursing for 400 personnel in nursing.
So you started to get to see the inside of.
Management, 2 levels of management I oversaw, did that for about 6 years, and then I wanted just to get back into private practice. So then for 15 years I worked with children in a large primary care facility in the thumb of Michigan. And I had a very large following. I had 500 children on my caseload for managing attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity.
Was this like, this was a private institution?
It was a
through
private
insurance or whatever?
private physician office, and we had like 6 providers, 3 or 4 offices, and we were spread throughout the thumb area.
Pretty good size.
Yeah, it was a good size. So I found my niche was in really doing the comprehensive evaluations, you know, school problems, behavioral problems, family issues, abuse. I worked for the county doing their abuse evaluations for children testifying in court, the gynecological care for the young adults, and then at one point for 6 years managed a indigent clinic that we opened as a private facility. And
Does that mean that the people just don't have the resources, or there's something wrong?
they were mostly on Medicaid. It was a very poor section of the community, and for 6 years we were their medical home. And I managed two registered nurses who did what is called the early periodic screening and developmental testing program for Medicaid, and then we gave them their wellness visits. We called it Camelot because we really serviced all the needs of very poor families and their children.
That's fantastic.
So it was, I was a preceptor for the universities, U of M and Michigan State, so they would send students.
I don't know what's preceptor?
Preceptor means you are a clinical adjunct faculty member for their clinical experience.
Okay.
So I precepted them, and one of my students wanted Hillary Clinton at the time to come and see our facility. She said, "There's nothing like this. This is amazing what we're doing for the community."
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of interesting.
Did
So
it happen?
No, it didn't happen. She was running, but my student was also in the military, so she had a lot of connections. But too bad it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, that work with children and families in poverty and seeing the impact on them, I think over time, I've always.
Is this what decade are we talking? Are we talking the 80s, 90s?
That would have been that would have been the 80s and the
Okay.
90s, yeah. So I did that for a long time, and then I reached about age 50, and after 20 years in private practice, I said, "Oh wow, I'm ready to retire." You reach a point after doing the same thing over and over again. Just want to
Been there and done that.
want to do something different. And I says, "Well, I'm not ready to retire at 50. Young people always say, 'Oh, I'm going to be retired at 50 or age 55.' And then you get there and you go, 'I don't know if I'm ready to do that.' So then I went on for my PhD at age 51. I started
Wow.
my doctorate, and I thought, well, I'll just be a gerontological nurse practitioner. And then I got into Wayne State University and became so involved with the educational process. It was like a shot in the arm.
Wow.
I was so excited and enthusiastic, and I loved the
Re-energized.
I loved the learning, the experience. And so, of course, when you become a PhD student, you have to find a gap. You have to find an area of research that you can become the queen of. That's what they say to you when you start. Find something that you will be the queen of. And they mean it that no one will know as much as you about that because
Become an expert.
Because it's a gap. So you will develop your whole research around that area. So I had always been interested in chronic illness, in older adults, in families, and so I went over to the Institute of Gerontology, and I found some interesting research that was being done there on cognition, on the brain, and the effects that high blood pressure had on the brain itself structurally. And so I learned about the effects on cognition, and I thought, this is really interesting, and this is a gap. And then I happened to be involved at the College of Nursing, with my education program. And I found out that one of the faculty had just received over $1 million grant from the National Institute of Health to study high blood pressure in older African Americans and how it affected their self-care, their ability to manage diet, their medications, and their activity program. And I said, wow. And then I thought to myself, she's not measuring cognition. And since we know that high blood pressure can affect cognition, I looked into the literature and saw there had been nothing written about that in African American hypertensives.
So you found
I
your
found
niche.
my niche and gap. So
Can I ask you just real quick, just the basic. High blood pressure takes away intelligence. What does it do to the brain?
Well, we now know, high blood pressure, diabetes, anything that can impair circulation to the brain over time can affect cognition, as can aging.
So does cognition mean you can't come up with the right response?
Well, cognition has many different areas or factors, like executive functioning, your ability to problem solve, make decision, formulate your actions. So executive functioning, memory, short-term, long-term, your orientation to person, place, and time, whether you know what time it is, so you can take your medications now, So there's a multitude.
High blood pressure is not good though.
high blood pressure over time can affect
Okay.
your structures of your brain and those processing
Okay.
areas. And the problem that we have with older adults is that aging can do that too. So you've got multiple factors: aging, high blood pressure, and we all know if you have high blood pressure, a lot of older adults also may have diabetes. So you've got multiple things, and you can't just say, oh, it's this, this, or this, you know.
Yeah.
But together, it can be a triple whammy, a double whammy, you know. So I said, I got all excited, and I said, I am going to write for an application for a grant to the National Institute of Health to support, to get an NRSA, that's a National Research Service Award. They're very difficult to get. They're rarely given, even at that time, and now probably hardly at all. But I said, I'm gonna write for a grant, and I will study the cognition, measure the ability of all the individuals in her study. So she's gonna come up with the basic data describing the population, and she's gonna get the measurements on all their outcomes and how they're doing, and I'll measure their cognition. I'll administer tools and executive functioning measurement, memory, orientation.
Does this mean you'll have to set up the whole entire study of the candidate, the people that are gonna be part of?
Yeah.
You have to create you have to do
Write
it
the
all.
whole research design. I
Wow.
mean, it's a huge application. It's really.
I can only imagine.
It is, you have to do the literature search, you have to go through 400 articles, you have to assure them that this is truly a gap, that we don't know anything about it. So I wrote my application, I got my team together, experts in all the different areas for my dissertation team, submitted the application, and I got it.
For how much?
They covered my whole PhD
Wow.
program. It was
You
like
including your tuition?
by 90, close to $90,000.
Well,
Yes.
isn't that nice and convenient?
Yes, and the faculty, of course, they were just, the dean and all of them were just like amazed because no one had ever received an NRSA.
What about the lady for the $1 million?
Well, that's a different kind of grant.
Okay.
She was faculty, and faculty are always submitting grants.
Okay.
But the National Research Service Award is an award given to students
Okay.
in a PhD program. So, wow, they were pretty amazed. So
At what university was this?
It's Wayne State University.
Wayne State.
Yeah. So I had funding, and so I could do the study. So we teamed up, and I measured the cognition on 400 older adults.
Okay.
And then I also ended up working as an intern in her study. So I actually went out on field visits and did the measurements and the follow-up in the Detroit urban area. But what I did also, and this is the really important thing, because I took it one step further. You know, in research, we talk about quantitative data, numbers. Those
Being
are
measured.
Measurements. And then there's another type of study called qualitative.
It can't be measured.
Can't be measured. It's about people and life experience and all of that. So I pulled out from that quantitative study and data, I wanted to know, because our population is aging, we're going to have a tremendous amount of people that are going to have cognitive impairments.
Is this the baby boom generation or after? Yes.
Yeah, our baby boom, in these next 10, 20 years, we're gonna have more older people. We're gonna have more older people that are having dementia, Alzheimer's, all of these things. And we know that our economy cannot support all the medical care that's going to be needed. I mean, it's a huge amount of economic resources to support those people with those kinds of problems. So we're going to have limited assets as a country.
There's gonna be people falling through the
I know.
cracks.
So my big question was, okay, this is the situation we have in our country. So how can we I want to find out if there are people, when we end up with all this data, are there people that are impaired mentally from my measurements, but yet perform well in the outcomes, taking their medication well, doing, taking in
Day-to-day things.
taking in the right diet, managing their activity. So they do well in their self-care, but yet they're still impaired. How can they do that? I want to know from them, how are they doing it?
Did you get the answer?
Because that's the key. Because if we can find out how they're doing it, we can develop programs to support other people to do it and save resources. So that was my thinking. Now, by adding on that qualitative piece, which the National Institute of Health knew I was going to do that, I added a year to my studies. So
That's even more fun.
no, because that was the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
That was the next question. And I thought, nowhere in this country will there be another opportunity to get at that data. You know, I mean, 5 years spent on it, millions of dollars, and somebody has to ask that question. So
And you were the one who
I
got
did
the...
it. I did it.
That's
And
right.
I answered the question, and I wrote the publications. If you look up my name, you'll see my quantitative publication. You'll see the qualitative.
So you got your
publication.
PhD?
I got my PhD.
Congratulations, Dr. K.
Dr. K. Klymko
Good
after
job.
5 years. But you can see the trajectory of why I'm interested in older adults, and also the long part of my life that I've really spent on that, and children and families and poverty and how that all affects us. So the thing that I want to say, and I'll give you the answer, I'm not going to hold you to reading the article, but the people, there were only, out of those 400 people, and a good number of them had cognitive difficulties, there were only 25 people out of the 400 that had cognitive difficulties, but also did good in their self-care. So those were the ones I went out.
5%.
I went out and interviewed them, like what you're doing today. I tape recorded, I went to their homes, I sat down with them, I had the questions, and then I summarized all the data. But the main big thing that came out of the study is that the people who did well had social support. I know that's intuitive. They had families that were helping them, supporting them. They had medical providers that they felt comfortable with, that they could talk to, that were interested in them. And those were the ones that did really great.
So someone else was picking up for the slack that they didn't have?
They felt connected. They had human connection, and they knew they had resources, and they had the availability of help. And they're the ones that did well. Now, intuitively, like so much research is, when you start out, you say, oh, I know the answer to that. It's intuitive. Why do we even have to spend all that time and money to study it?
Seems common sense.
It seems common sense, right? But until you study it, it's not a truth, right?
Until you dig in and start
Until you
looking at
dig
answers.
in and you have the evidence, it's not a truth. So, so that's what I found out. So that leads me to my support today, to that piece of the second part of my platform, which is putting an emphasis on how important it is to support our older population with social support and a mechanism to do that so they can do well. And that's exactly what the Senior Hub is doing, the Senior Center. The plan for the Senior Center out of the vision is that they want to build a structure, or initially probably lease a structure where they will become a hub. And the hub will have all these spokes, and they will find all the resources in the community and bring them together under their umbrella. So individuals right now, they don't know where to go. They don't know who to call. They suddenly find they have a problem, their husband, their wife died, they suddenly are sick. Where do I get home health services? How can I get someone to come into my home?
Now, is this everywhere? Is this in Michigan?
This is City of Lakeland.
The city of Lakeland.
The City of Lakeland. Now, they've been working at this project for a long time. And last year, the City of Lakeland, in their budget, gave $100,000 to the senior center, for the senior center, if they could get $100,000 match. Okay. which to me,
Seems challenging.
that's challenging, and to me, that's just putting a brake on the whole thing, frankly. I mean, it sounds good, but what is $100,000 when they need $1 million? They need $1 million. So, anyway, so that was done, and they met their match now, and, they did just recently present to the commission, that they met the match, and now, the city commission says, well, now what's the next step? It's not like, okay, what can we do to help you? We have money, we have the money. When I hear, and looking back on the commission, tapes and such, that we have hundreds of millions of dollars in a trust fund. We have tens of millions of dollars that we earned in interest in 2024.
Who's we?
City of Lakeland.
It doesn't include me.
I know.
I'd pay my house off if I had that.
And it's like, we have money. It's how are we spending it? And I think the measure, right, of a society that is moral and moving forward and progressing is how well we take care of our vulnerable people. We have 25,000 people over age 65 in the city of Lakeland, around that number. That's 65. And I'm a gerontologist, and when you are talking older adult, you have to take it down to 55. Although many of the grants you write and everything is going to be for 65 and older, you have to look at 55 to 65 as our young older adults. 65 to 75 is middle older adults. 85 plus is older adults. And now we're getting into our centenarians that are living 100 years over.
I met a guy the other day, we were in Walmart, and I can't remember exactly what he said. He said, oh, that's what it was. I said, how are you, sir? And he said, I'm fine, young man, how are you? How are you? And I'm thinking, I'm 57, and he called me young man. I said, he goes, you know how old I am? I said, how old are you? He says, I'm 92.
Well, there you go.
I hadn't been called a young man
Yes.
in decades.
It's all relative. But, when you start looking at people in the 50s, you are starting to see a great variation in how people age. I mean, I've gotten feedback like, 75, she's 75, that's too old, I'm 70s and I could never be mayor. Well, there is such a variation in the energy, the activity, the physical health, the appearance, the persona of people as they age. You cannot tell by chronological aging.
That's
You
right.
cannot. People are at all different energy levels. So, if you look at the 55 plus, you are going to start to see the 50-year-olds, some of them are pretty debilitated. Some of them are in rehab facilities already. And if you take it down into the 30 and 40-year-olds, we're talking about the sandwich generation. They're taking care of.
The numbers are less though, right?
If you take into consideration of who could benefit from a senior hub, I suggest you take it down to the 30 and 40-year-olds, and even all the way down to the young children, and I'll tell you why. Because the 30 to 40-year-olds are our sandwich generation. They're looking after the older adults. They're looking after their younger children. They are burned out.
They're in the middle of their work years.
Yeah, and they don't know where to go to get help. So it's not only our senior adults, 65 and older, it's our 50s who are experiencing some of the problems that they're going to need the help, and there's our young population. Now, there are people, and also one of the reasons I jumped in, there are people in our leadership positions who are not supportive of the senior hub in the sense of, we really need to get this thing built. The people really need the help. Let's give some of that money to them in our budget. They're concerned that if you build it, they will come. That mindset. If you build a senior center, well, we're going to have more seniors come. We're not going to have those vibrant. If we want a vibrant community, which is in the comprehensive health plan, we want young people to come in. We want the people who are going to buy up the developments in the Southwest that are going to be taking place around that big park and recreation that we've given millions of dollars to in the budget. So
Priorities.
you can see my point. It's the priorities. A budget is a moral plan. And to me, we have swung, back before we had Polytech built, yeah, now we've attracted a lot of young people. Now our pendulum has to swing back, and we have to take care of some of the people that have been left behind. Our older adults, our youth services, and that's the second area I'm asking for $1 million for. And that is, you've heard of the police athletic league, the PAL.
Yeah.
They
I got their
were-
shirt.
Pardon?
I got their shirt at home.
Yeah, okay. So they got $100,000 as well for a match, if they could raise their $100,000 to build their structure, which will be a filled house. It'll be an expansion. It is now going to be, they've donated city land, and it will extend the Simpson Park type of activities, but it'll be much broader, and it'll support the children in a very impoverished area of our city. Now, coming from, as I explained, my trajectory of working with these families for many years, I understand how important that is. And I am totally all in. And I think we can do better for them. I mean, yeah, they're working hard now. They're into construction plans, design plans. What do we want this to be? And from the last I talked to them, they're taking a similar model like the senior hub, where they're going to have multiple organizations, maybe contract with them, get involved, have on-site services, maybe help pay for services, pay for their expenses. So that's a logical and efficient way to do it. And the whole community benefits, because you're pulling in our community organizations. You're not duplicating. You're pulling them in. You're giving them site support, and the children.
The word of mouth travels as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you've got some people in there, you build it, and they're going to tell their friends, I got better over here in Lakeland. I got better over here in Lakeland. And that's going to draw in more too as well.
Yeah.
And it'll just be a...
Mm-hmm. They're so progressive in their thinking. They're even talking about culinary art classes for the children. And great things. So those are two projects that I feel we should be supporting right now. They're doing budgeting this week. They need to give $1 million to each of those organizations. And they have the money. We have the money. It's the priority.
That's right.
It is the priority. And the community needs to stand up and voice their opinion on this. They have to hold them to the fire.
Or there's another way. They could elect you.
Or they could elect me. Now, the third area is the homeless, right? And
Okay.
we've been talking and playing around with that, and now they've pulled back because the church, from the land they were going to build the temporary housing, the church was having a problem with that.
Are you talking about Talbot?
On Memorial, the property, it's been in the papers, so now they're pulling back on that. I have for years, in fact, I talked with a previous commissioner, I'm not mentioning names, about formulating a council similar to the youth council in the commission, where it is homeless, they say homeless, the unhoused people and families, a council that will pull together all leaders in our community that have been involved in this for a long time, Coalition for Homeless and other people, Talbot House, Lighthouse Ministries, pull everyone together, and we help them to develop and support them financially. They need the money too. We need to give them $1 million.
The resources are always...
Yeah, and that the mindset is the same thing. I hear that over and over when I have gone to my city campaign as a candidate, in 23 and 24 as a Polk County candidate. I have always had these types of concerns, and I always hear, you build it, they will come. I can take you right down to the bus station. I'm going to show you the people getting off the bus. Okay, so that's how we're going to treat our humanity, our friends, our community, by not giving them a place to stay. I was on the way to the well for a meeting. And it started pouring rain. And I saw a group of the homeless people sitting there around the corner, or under the tree. And I said, oh crap. I backed my car out. I went over to McDonald's, got a whole bag of hamburgers, fries, and shakes. And I took it back to them and I said, please, I said, eat,
That's fantastic.
That's who I
Yeah.
am, but it's not enough. It's not one person just stopping to help. I mean, there's people feeding in the park and whatever, but we need formal structure.
Yeah, it's not a community if everybody's not helping.
We need a structure, we need commitment, and we need to get out of that mindset. In Lansing, Michigan, the city commission has taken this up, and they're looking at building pods. You can build a pod as an overnight temporary place that you can give someone a dry place to stay.
Maybe a shower in the morning.
Wells Fargo has put in in another state, small houses community for the homeless. I mean, people are doing this all over the country. We need to do it in Lakeland. We have
There are some
significant
churches that are
problems.
doing stuff like that here in Lakeland
Yes.
as well. Over where I live, on Parker Avenue, there's a place that's been doing that
Mhm.
and doing the best they can with what resources they
Right,
have, limited
right,
resources.
Right, but we need to address it as a community.
Well, that's,
So those are my 3 areas, and now you understand where I come from in terms of this is not just something, because the paper did a great article, but they just kind of dropped what I wanted. There wasn't the buildup, and of course they can't do that in one article. But I can do this in this interview, and damn it, I'm
Absolutely.
going to.
There you go.
Because we need it, and I will do everything I can, and that's why I'm running, because I do not see our commissioners addressing this appropriately. They have a value system that's swung too far over into economic growth. They're not listening. I've been out there for 3 years. People don't want all this growth. Now, growth is good, and a certain amount is good, and we haven't even touched on the water issues and our recharging and the effect of development and the concrete and the
I
roads
talk to
of
the
that.
commissioners on a regular basis. I can confirm what you're saying.
Yeah.
I confirm it.
Yeah, so they have swung too far over. We need to get the pendulum back, and the only way it's gonna do it is if the community rallies behind it. So that's what I'm offering as mayor.
To,
And-
more of the same or something different.
Yeah, something different, you can say, if you depending on who you choose, you're choosing status quo or you're choosing change and addressing
Good
what
point.
needs
That's
to
a
be.
very good point.
Status quo, okay, my opponents can have experience at status quo, okay, but do we want more of that? When you feel it's not going in the right direction, do you want more of that? Oh, experience. I have tons of experience. I mean, the mayor role is mainly procedural and ceremonial.
It is.
It
Of
is.
course it is.
Everyone knows it is.
I can tell you the next word.
But you have a vote. And I will tell you, people that know me, who really know me, who have started to work with me, Terry Coney, for example, they know what I'm capable of. And I am an influencer, and I am creative, and I am able to do that.
Your reputation preceded you.
Mhm. Oh,
I
did
assure
it?
you.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
So anyway, I can do this. I will be a fabulous mayor. I will take us into a new future.
Change the status quo.
To change the status quo, to move us to be a moral community that looks after its most vulnerable people, and yet still maintain a reasonable amount of growth.
Yeah, it's not taking away resources from someone else. It's resources not being used. It sounds
Yes.
like. And
What good is money in a bank, an investment, a trust fund? Okay, could be a scary future. Oh no, fear. We can't make our people today suffer in a horrible way.
And if people want to get in contact with you and learn more and speak with you more, are there going to be some more
We have lots.
public venues? Or
There's going to be lots of forums coming up. I've been out canvassing for 3 months. I couldn't canvass as a candidate, but you can bet I've been door knocking. I was door knocking last night, door knocking every other day, canvassing. And now I can legitimately canvass. as a candidate, but I was canvassing to get the vote out. We have a terrible, as everybody knows, like 14.
Turnout on vote day.
Terrible, it's awful. And canvassing last night, I can tell you, I was out in that Pipkin area, that new growth area last night I was canvassing. And I would say 95% of people have the door chime, computer operated on their front door.
Mm-hmm.
And hardly anybody comes to the front door.
They don't?
They don't.
You knock on doors, nobody answers?
I knock on doors, I hit the chimes, and you know what I do? I continue to talk. I talk into that chime because I hear them behind. I hear their
They're
dogs.
saying, don't answer the door, don't
I
answer the door.
see their car in the driveway, their dog is barking. I hear them in there, and I just introduce myself and I say, tell them that they have to re-register for vote by mail because in December all of it was purged.
I heard about that too.
All of it was purged. So if you want to get a vote by mail ballot, you must call the supervisor of election offices and re-register.
If you're watching this in Lakeland, for the Lakeland,
City of
if
Lakeland.
you've been a mail-in candidate or voter and you're expecting to get that letter, again, you can't. You have to re-register.
You have to re-register to get that ballot. And so people need to be aware of that. So that's the first thing I tell them, and then I introduce myself and I tell them that I'm running. So, and I just give the whole spiel right there to that little camera. And you know what? Within
Some people,
some people will come to the door and they'll kind of open the door and they'll smile at me.
Yeah.
I mean, what mayor candidate? All I ever hear is no one has ever come to my door.
that's right.
No one's canvassing, no one's come to their
I've never
doors.
experienced it.
Yeah.
It's the old days, I guess.
Now, the other thing I'm doing as part of community engagement, I am hearing people are sick and tired of the amount of money that is being spent on these campaigns.
I don't know. Can you share some?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, 60, 70,000 easily. It's
Wow.
public information. You can go to lakeland.gov, lakelandgov.net, and you can go to the government page, look up the candidates, look up their public reports. It's all public information. $60, $70, $100,000, and $1,000 at a shot. You can read all the people donating.
Imagine what that could do for the people who could use it, as opposed to getting a job.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly. So I have made a promise, and I have put this out there, that I will accept no more donations after $5,000. My feeling is you can run a decent campaign on $5,000. And the other aspect, we have to teach people that, you can run. People think they're good candidates, but they can't run because they don't have all the money. They're thinking, they need $100,000 to run for office. No, get in there. You don't need that much. You can run a decent campaign for $5,000. You can buy flyers, you can buy signs, you can buy palm cards, you can do your application fee for the local type positions, for this kind of position. So I said, you can run. And so I'm asking my supporters, once that I have $5,000, I'm going to ask them, instead of anyone contributing more, I want you to give them to these 3 organizations. I want you to give them to Homeless, the Senior Hub, and the PAL for their structure. Let's get community support behind that. Because that $50,000 extra or whatever, look how far that could go to help our vulnerable people. It's wasteful. And a lot of people get real indignant. And I think that's why a lot of people have they don't want any part of these elections. They're just, bogus. You get these flyers that people have spent tens of thousands, and I'm not kidding.
And they're bulk mail, they're not sincere.
Tens of thousands. And you know what? I have watched someone take it out of their mailbox and just dump it in the trash.
I do it every day.
Yeah.
I do it every day.
Yeah. What a waste.
If it's bulk mail, it goes in the bin.
Look how
You give me a stamp, you're gonna get my attention.
Look how many people we could feed. Now, in my last election, I wrote letters to 5,000 people. 5,000. I had a whole team helping me and work with this. And I targeted older women, above age 55, women, and I can't say what party, because I can't say what party, of course everybody knows what party I'm in. But I targeted them, and I wrote them a personal letter with a stamp, and I included additional flyers in it, and I said, I want you to give it to their friends. I got 124,000 votes in the commission
Well,
election.
put that in perspective. Is that 10%, 20%?
Well, my opponent got over 200,000, but
Okay.
you gotta look at the number.
But you got 50% of what,
You gotta look at the number, and there were another 100,000 that didn't bother voting. So, there we have it, but I am so pleased, 124,000?
keep going.
That's a lot of people in Polk County that have heard the name. And I'm hoping a good number, and I could look at the precincts and tell you, of those people live in the city of Lakeland. So the more you run, the more you get your name out there.
That is really,
And this
really neat.
lady, she runs.
How many of them were the ones that you knocked on? Did you ever get back to them and get their address?
Well,
That'd be kinda
we
neat.
got there, yeah. So, so
So how
that's,
can people get in contact with you?
they can go to my website. It's KAY hyphen Klymko, KLYMKO.com. And then it'll take them, they can go to Facebook with the little icon and see postings. They'll be able to donate. They can go to volunteer. If people are interested in helping with canvassing, just send a note, send an email, and
Share this YouTube video with your friends.
yes, share it with, and share the video with a friend.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else we can add? I wish you all the luck.
I mean, I could, like I said, you don't even have to
It's-
talk. I can
You're
go on
sincere.
for an
I
hour.
sense your sincerity to make the world a better place,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah, well, this is a lifelong project that brought me to today. And to me, running a campaign is all about the process. It's not about me or who wins as mayor. I mean, to me, it's what happens during that time of the election review and these kind of things, and talking at forums and getting people involved. You keep moving, you take baby steps, you keep moving people along in their thinking. That to me is
It's
what
a journey.
it's a journey, and that is what it's about. None of us know what tomorrow brings, but we can sure keep moving the little barometer.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully, you'll be the one saying, okay, we're gonna send this money over here to make the world a better place. You'll be the one.
Thank you.
Have a fantastic day. Thank you, Coach, for letting me use this beautiful.
Thank
room
you
as well.
to all the people who are watching. And please vote November 4th. That's the bottom line.
That's right.
We need you to vote.